Hello viewers, today again Professor Argan comes with a new game story, a chocolatey tale, and it is all about chocolate. So let's start our chocolatey journey. Chocolate is the most well-known, consumed and profitable component of the confectionery industry across the world. Based on the quality of cocoa, different ranges of chocolates are produced worldwide. International Cocoa Organization, that is ICCO, estimates production of certified organic cocoa at 15,000 tons, sourced from the following countries: Madagascar, Tanzania, Uganda, Bolivia, Brazil, Costa Rica, even from India. The interesting preference of consumers is an imperative factor that eventually aids companies to focus on product development and marketing tactics to expand a wider consumer base and capture new market is driving the growth of global market for chocolate. Global chocolate market was valued at around USD of 103 billion in 2017 and its yearly growth is about 7% and expected to produce revenue of 160 billion USD according to Xeon Market Research. This research shows the absolute popularity of chocolate. To get a magical feeling of chocolate, you break off a square with a satisfying snap and place it on your tongue. The flavor intensifies as the chocolate starts to melt in the warmth of your mouth. Delicious compounds are unlocked while the creamy mass glides across your taste buds. The flavor of chocolate is sensational, but the consistency, how it feels to it, is just as important. Not only did the cocoa bean give us those wonderful flavors, it also gave us another substance responsible for the trademark consistency: cocoa butter. Cocoa powder and cocoa butter are the two main extracts from cocoa beans, which is the fruit of the tropical tree Theobroma cacao. Cocoa powder provides the flavor, while the fat in the cocoa butter provides the texture. To make chocolate, the two substances are mixed in different proportions and combined with other ingredients. The amount of those depend on the type of the chocolate being made. Dark chocolate contains mainly cocoa powder, cocoa butter and sugar. Adding milk to this combination creates milk chocolate. Finally, white chocolate contains cocoa butter, milk and sugar, but no cocoa powder. Most chocolates also contain a substance called lecithin, which is an emulsifier. Some of the chemical compounds are quite important in chocolate industry, such as 2,3-dimethylpyrazine have its nutty odor, while trimethylpyrazines and tetramethylpyrazines have more of a cocoa and coffee smell respectively. Aldehydes also play an important role in the taste of chocolate. Notably, 2 and 3-methylbutanal has a malt or chocolate odor respectively, and phenylethanal has honey odor, which we have identified. Or sometimes factory mimic vanillin, which smells just like vanilla, is there. Phenylethylamine gives the pleasurable effect by releasing beta endorphin, which is present in chocolates. Anandamide produces transient feeling of well-being. Interestingly, the name is derived from the Sanskrit word ananda, which means happiness. Nearly all chocolate contains small amount of vitamins such as riboflavin, as well as a trace level of many metals needed for a healthy diet, including magnesium, potassium, calcium, iron and copper. Chocoholic will also remind you that their vice is rich in healthy antioxidant compounds such as catechin and epicatechin. Chocolate is a mixture of many chemical compounds, of which about 400 have been identified. Taste, texture, gloss, snap and other properties can be varied according to how the mixture is processed. Manufacturing chocolate is a very complex multi-step process. The taste of chocolate depends on the microscale structure of it. Chocolate is made up of tiny particles and crystals ranging from 0.01 to 0.1 mm in diameter. This governs how the chocolate is perceived by the consumer. To register taste, flavor compounds have to reach the mouth and nose, but the texture is important too. The critical size of chocolate grain to the mouth feel of the product is typically about 0.02 mm. A key ingredient is cocoa butter. It is basically 3 fatty acid chains dangling from glycerol backbone structure, which can be fork-shaped. Or if we rotate one of the fatty acid chains so that it sticks out the other side of the glycerol backbone, they take on a new shape like a chair-like structure. This is important because we need our cocoa butter molecule in the chair shape to get the best crystals. In between these two prime structures, it can come at least 6 different crystalline forms, which are denoted using Roman numerals. This means that the atoms are the same, but they are arranged differently. The ability of the structure to take on many different crystalline forms is called polymorphism. Like Lego brick, we can use the same brick to make different structure. Some are stronger, some look better. Those different arrangements can lead to different properties, including melting point, how easily it snaps, strength, glossiness, and texture. Remember that a crystalline structure is one in which a pattern of atoms or molecules, that is the unit cell, is repeated over and over throughout the structure. Among 6 crystalline structures, type 1 to 4 produce inferior chocolate, while type 5 and 6 gives the creamy texture and other desirable qualities. Though 5 is kept at superior position with respect to the quality, while the structure of the type 5 and 6 crystals is not completely understood, there is a working model. Returning to the idea of the chair-shaped fat molecule, we think the unit cell of type 5 crystal is with a pair of chairs back to back and head to toe. These pairs can then stack together to form layers, and several layers stack on top of each other to make a crystal. But the fat molecule could line up in the fork position, or the chairs could be back to back but not head to toe. These are the examples of what the structures of the inferior type 1 to type 4 crystal might look like. So, crystal growth of a particular form is the important step to achieve the perfect texture of the chocolate. For this, 2 things are necessary. The molecules forming the crystal must be free to move, and they need a lot of time to get themselves lined up. This is exactly what happens when chocolate is tempered. Tempering chocolate involves repeatedly heating and cooling of chocolate to allow the right kind of crystals to form. Melting the chocolate allows the cocoa butter molecule to move, and cooling the mixture slowly gives the time they need to arrange themselves in the repeating pattern. First of all, the chocolate is heated to 50 degrees Celsius so that it completely melts. Next, the mixture is cooled. As it starts to solidify, the cocoa butter begins to crystallize. But crystals of all 6 different types form. At this structure, the crystals are very small and are called seeds. In crystallography, a seed is a small crystal and the starting point for a larger crystal to grow. The problem after this first stage of tempering chocolate is that the mixture contains seed for all the different 6 types of cocoa butter crystals. This means that the other cocoa butter molecule have a choice of seeds to crystallize with. This means that the other cocoa butter molecule have a choice of seed to crystallize with, and whichever type of crystal is the seed is, it will stay that type. In other words, if a crystal forms around a type 2 seed, then it will grow into type 2 crystal, and that is not the kind of a crystal that makes for a good chocolate. To solve this problem, the chocolate is heated up again, this time just to 32 degrees Celsius. This melts all type of chocolate crystal from type 1 to type 4, leaving type 5 and 6 crystals intact because they have higher melting point. Now, the only seed present are the desirable type of type 5 and 6 crystals. As the remaining cocoa butter molecule arrange themselves around this seed, they grow into larger and larger type of type 5 and 6 crystal until the chocolate is completely solidified. Sometimes we observe very unappetizing appearance and surface texture of chocolate, which is known as blooming of chocolate. 2 kinds of blooming may observe. Fat bloom. This is when cocoa butter molecules get pushed out of the middle of the chocolate and crystallize on the surface, producing unsightly white patches which can be reduced by adding emulsifiers such as lecithin. Another type of blooming is sugar bloom. When condensation onto the surface of chocolate or moisture in the chocolate coating causes the sugar to absorb the moisture and dissolve, and further the moisture evaporation causes formation of larger sugar crystals, leaving a dusty layer. Sugar bloom can be reduced by maintaining an appropriate storage temperature, avoiding hygroscopic ingredient, etc. Reducing chocolate porosity is also one of the techniques nowadays used to avoid blooming king of chocolate. Though visibly, sugar bloom is not distinguishable from fat bloom by appearance, in freshly sugar bloom samples, it is often easy to feel the surface difference. Sugar bloom feels dry and does not melt to the touch, while fat bloom feels sleek and it melts. One can often see the differences by touching a small droplet of water to the surface. With fat bloom, the droplet simply beads up. With sugar bloom, the droplet quickly flattens and spreads as the water dissolves the microscopic sugar particle on the surface. As we know, sugar is dissolvable in water. Alternatively, gentle warming of the surface will cause the crystals of the fat bloom to melt, removing the appearance of bloom while leaving sugar bloom unchanged. So definitely, if you see next time any that white kind of patches, you can easily determine whether it is a fat bloom or sugar bloom. And one thing to mention, don't throw that chocolate, it is edible. Have you remembered this scene? One of my favorite movies as kid was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think who all have watched that movie still can remember the chocolate river and waterfall in the film. Actually, those are not digital creation but real. So 1.25 million liters of chocolate mimicking liquid which was used in movie set is generated by a group of scientists from an UK-based chemical company, Vickers, as they are approached by the filmmakers to develop a product that looks and flows just like liquid chocolate and would last long enough for filming and definitely non-toxic so that actors could swim in it. The final fake chocolate consisted of less than 1% hydroxyl ethyl cellulose, which is a gelling agent to thicken the water to maintain the uninterrupted flow, mimicking the flow of a liquid chocolate. Around 0.2% of organic pigment to give the picture perfect feel of chocolate, and food grade biocide at parts per million level in the water base, which is used to avoid the risk of microbial infection. I know you are also a bit disappointed to know that reality, but think, if we have used that real chocolate, can we bear the pain of such chocolate waste? I think no. Thanks to the chemical knowledge that filmmaker had produced such great eye-catchy effect without any loss of chocolate. If you have enjoyed this chocolatey video, stay tuned to my channel for more content like this. Professor Argan will again come with some interesting chemical facts of daily life. Till then, bye-bye.